Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CIPH Yes Committee Coffee and Tea interview series. My name is Laure-Anne, and I'm a product specialist at IPEX. And today I have Gordon Lafort, who is our Director of Product Management here at IPEX as well. Welcome, Gordon.
Thank you, Laure-Anne. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm flattered that I was chosen to be interviewed.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you with us. Did you want to give us a bit of a background onto yourself and your role here at IPEX?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. Well, it's funny, I would say in some respects I have a bit of a boring resume. I've been with the company for 35 years. Although in those 35 years, I've had a number of different positions with the company in different geographical locations. I've worked in outside sales. I was held an engineering position in Western Canada. I've been a sales manager, a regional sales manager, and also a national sales manager. And I've also had the opportunity to work for our global parent company for a couple of years to learn more about our business outside of North America. So my current role has been about 3.5 years in this Director of Product Management.
Wealth of knowledge. Well, thanks for being with us today. So I'm just going to get started with a few Spitfire questions for you. And given the title of these, coffee or tea?
Coffee or tea? Well, I'm very much a coffee drinker. I like it right out of the pot black there. None of those additives that we need. Full effect and flavor that way. So definitely coffee.
Breakfast or dinner?
Both. I'm not sure I understand the question. I have a hearty breakfast and I like to have a hearty dinner. So yeah. Do people do otherwise? I'm surprised. Okay.
Do you prefer wine or beer?
Well, that's an easy one. I do prefer beer. I find beer more enjoyable to drink. It's cold and you can kind of chug it a little more enjoyably rather than sipping on it like wine. So that way, I enjoy wine, but I much prefer beer.
And do you sleep in or are you an early riser?
I'm definitely an early riser. I don't think I could sleep in if I tried that way. And having 2 dogs at home kind of ensures I'm an early riser as well. So.
All right, well, now let's deep dive into some questions that are a bit more industry related. And the first one here for you is, what's the best piece of advice you have for someone new to their career?
Oh, okay. Well, probably is it's a great question. I would say to be patient. I think a lot of people today might be impatient when they start a new job and expect to be running the company in 5 years or something like that. But I think to take on a new job, to strive to learn what you can doing the job, and to take on more and more responsibility and some new tasks to kind of develop in your role. And I think if you're with a good employer, you're not going to be ignored. You'll be everybody is kind of watched that way, so your work will be recognized if you're doing good work, and working on teams and developing yourself that way. So, but yeah, certainly be patient. I think it's a long career ahead of people, and certainly in this industry, there's a lot of it's a very steady industry, lots of activity. It's not a wild industry that has peaks and troughs that way. It's very steady construction that way. So it's a very stable industry. So
That's very good advice. And what does success look like to you?
well, success for an employee, I think, is somebody who is developing in their role, showing some continuous improvement. Um, Inevitably we all make mistakes. It's nice to see people learn from their mistakes, but being reliable, being organized, uh, having a good work-life balance in their job, and I think a great measure as well, not only getting the job done, but being happy in your job, in your role. So I think if somebody, no matter what the job is or what the responsibility or what the pay is, if they're not happy doing their job, I wouldn't consider that successful. So I think people should enjoy their work, and I think in our industry, again, we've all been very fortunate that many of us do enjoy our work, enjoy the people, enjoy the tasks assigned, and contributing to building better buildings and with plumbing and heating systems.
I'd have to agree with that. I think a lot of us are very passionate about the work we do.
Exactly. Passion is a great sign of success as well. That's a good point.
Tell us something that you've learned throughout your career.
Well, I really haven't learned anything, but no, I'm just kidding. I think, oh boy, what have I learned? Probably the common element to everything I've done, and probably everybody in the industry, no matter what the role is dealing with people is of primary importance. And that kind of obviously applies in sales, where you're dealing with a number of customers, different backgrounds and different personalities. So it's very obvious in the outside sales role, but certainly every other position in this industry, and many of the positions, of course, are kind of behind the scenes. It could be financial or customer service or manufacturing or what have you. You're going to be dealing with people, and an ability to deal well with people is a skill and an advantage that will help you be more successful in your job. So it just cannot be ignored, and any development a person could take in recognizing different personalities of people and how to work better in teams and things like that, I think would be beneficial. So that's certainly one thing I've learned. Also, I guess continuous learning, that as long as I've been in the business, I learn something new every day. And certainly in this role where we're kind of in the background operations of the company, and many aspects having to do with our products, product development. So there's still a lot to learn. So you cannot get complacent and think you've learned everything, and there's not much more to learn. So I think that's a good piece of advice. And just not to be afraid to take on more responsibility in your role. You show your employer, show your manager that you're capable. You don't want to overwhelm yourself, but to take on more, and even to further your development as an employee, and further your value to the company, to do something like here at IPEX, we call them stretch assignments, to do something outside of your field, to do something differently, to work in a different department for a short period of time is a great way to broaden your knowledge and again, personal development as an employee. So
Would you say volunteering and joining some of these committees like CIPH is a good opportunity to work on
yeah,
this?
absolutely. That's a great example. Giving back to the industry, volunteering, and doing committee work. It really enhances your professional development to network with other peers from different employers and similar roles, and different roles that way, to broaden your perspective. And it's been my experience that you do meet some fantastic people as well. There's a lot of great people in our industry. I can't speak much for other industries as such, but I'm sure there's great people in every industry. But we really, in this plumbing and heating industry in Canada, is just some fantastic people, and good friends you will make, and interesting people you will meet, and lots to learn from colleagues in the industry that way. And giving back to associations, it helps the industry to further itself, and to protect itself really in the future, and it gives you a chance to have input and give some direction to our industry. So,
and I think it ties it all together when you talked about dealing with people and meeting different people and personalities. Working on some of these committees, you get to work with different people around our industry and really get to work with everyone and build those relationships at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great experience just to leave your business hat at the door and come to a committee and work with a task for the betterment of the industry, rather than your own employer or your own position that way. So that's a great experience in itself, and it's really admirable to see everybody sitting around the table on these committees with the same perspective. So it's amazing what can be achieved in that committee role at CIPH and other organizations such as that.
And finally, what is the best advice you would give based on your experience working with younger generations?
Oh, well, you should avoid that at all costs. No, I'm just kidding. Interestingly, one thing I've learned over the last few years on that topic is that do not fall into the trap of branding all young people as being the same, or stereotyping them. I've had some young people tell me that specifically that it bothers them that they're pigeonholed as being Gen Z or Generation Y or Generation X, and that they're all identical clones of each other. So I don't fall into that trap. I look at everybody as they are as an individual, but on the other hand, we can't ignore the reality that times have changed over the last 20 to 30 years. So I would say some of the common traits of having to manage younger employees that they, in a positive sense, is they do like to be challenged. They like to have their work clearly set out, their task very clearly spelled out as what should be done. They also enjoy and expect to get feedback on their performance, and that's a big difference from when I started. I always used to say, when I started in sales, I had a couple of weeks in the office and given a price book and slapped on the back and said, "Go get them." So, so we've come a long way for that. Training is a big part of it, is to be expected now. So there's been a lot of good positive aspects, or a lot of improvements for dealing with employees with the younger generation that way. So, as far as sometimes the stereotype with younger people is there may not be as strong a loyalty to the employer as there may have been 20 years ago. And I guess that's true to an extent, but loyalty has to be developed and earned by the employer. So I think it's up to the employer to show, keep the employee motivated, keep them busy, have a plan, a career path plan, give them no reason to seek employment elsewhere, because if they feel like they're just another employee and it's just a job, well, yeah, they may try different employers from time to time. So the challenge is to keep them motivated, that it's an exciting industry, it's a great employer. Certainly our industry is not very widely known to the general public, let alone young people coming out of university or college. So we have to kind of get them engaged in the industry and understand that it is a really cool industry and a really cool business that way. So they can feel proud to be part of it that way. So
those are all great points. I think you've given our young leaders and our new leaders and our current leaders even a very good perspective on working with the younger generation that we are and that we bring to the table. So thanks for your feedback today and your answers for your question. I appreciate you taking the time to do this with us, and we'll speak soon.
Okay, Laure-Anne, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and happy to help.